Happy New Year again. This is the first day that we're back on the air since the new year and since traveling around. And my guest now in studio, Elizabeth Koraca. Did I say that right?
You sure did.
Yay. So thrilled to have you. We've got a lot in common.
Yes.
Right? We've both been TV reporters back east. Let's talk about those resolutions that everybody makes. I usually don't make them. Do you make them?
I do make them.
You do. Do you stick to them?
I do.
You do.
I do.
Okay. That's why I don't make them, because I don't usually stick to them. However, can I tell you what?
Yes.
I made one this year.
Tell me.
Okay, it's one word. It's called willpower. And it's not just for food, it's for everything. To stay away from what's not good. Have the willpower to just say no. To say no that people, or, not that anyone's bad, because I don't have that in my life, but maybe if people want too much, no. And for me, it's willpower, because I cave in too much, including the snacking. What's yours?
Mine is to eat more healthily, because
I was going to say eat more. Wait a minute. Who wants to eat more? Eat more healthily. Okay.
Because what I would find is that, I ate pretty decently during the day, but then when I put the kids to bed around between 7 and 11, I would raid the pantry. I call myself a cereal snacker, or
That's
I
me.
was.
Okay, look, we don't live far from each other. Let's call each other. Deborah, I need to snack. Elizabeth, please help me, right? So what do you do when you're a cereal snacker? That's me. What do you do?
Well, first of all, you want to create a plan. You want to keep it simple. So you want to perhaps eat more healthily, not be a cereal snacker anymore. So what did I do? I set my resolution, then I wrote it down, okay? Because studies show if you write it down, you are more likely to achieve your goal. Or
Where do you
resolution.
put it? Do you slap it on the fridge? Where do
You could put it on the fridge, you could put it in your notebook, on the computer, but you want to make sure it's visual and really out there so you can see it on a daily basis.
And it requires, there's that word again, willpower, to stick to it and say, maybe nobody else knows I'm cheating, but I know if I cheat, right? You have to be good to yourself. Right?
Yes. And you want to remember the purpose of the goal that you're setting. Okay.
That's a good one.
What is the why behind it? Why was I tired of cereal snacking? It was actually kind of fun. I wasn't tired of snacking. I was
so much fun.
I was actually tired of the weight I was putting on. So what is my why? I want to look and feel good. I want to wear the clothes that I have. I don't want to have to buy a size bigger, 2 sizes bigger, 3 sizes bigger. I don't want it.
I won't. I will just wear the same clothing until I go back to where I should be. And that's been about a year. So hence my willpower. But again, there's that bad Deborah. What if you have the bad Elizabeth that talks to you late at night? How do you get rid of her?
I cleared out the pantry of any junk or things that I am tempted by and absolutely love. Even like my daughter's little mini Oreo cookies. I got rid of them because I was eating those. And I say to myself, okay, what's my plan? I'm gonna have 2 snacks tonight. I'm not going to have 8 snacks and just graze through the pantry and the fridge. I'm gonna have 2 snacks, and I plan it out. What do I like? I like dark chocolate. I can't eat too much of that.
So you'll have a piece, right?
I'll have like 2 or 3.
2 or 3. Okay, so at least you get something.
Yeah.
And you just really have to have the power to say no to it. And I agree with you. You've got to have the goal, the visualization.
Yeah.
So you talk to people about this, right? You help people set their goals.
Yes.
You do a lot of public speaking about it. You've worked with many top businesses, Pfizer, and many others. What do people bring you in for to talk to them about, let's say, on a business platform?
Well, it depends on what they're really looking for. Sometimes they're having a hard time communicating with their manager. Maybe they don't feel supported. Clients in here in LA and in New York City, it's extremely competitive. I've got clients that work at hedge funds, so people kind of gunning for their jobs. And what I say to people is, let's get a plan together. What's going on? What is the reality? Where is the self-doubt coming in? Because when you're not doing well, or you're not performing well, or you're not getting along well with a manager, you're not feeling your best.
You talk about that a lot, self-doubt. We all have self-doubt. I have it. I'm sure you've got it. And anyone who says they don't believe them. But what do you do to not really remove it, but just manage it? What do you do?
Well, be aware of it.
Yeah.
Be aware of it. And what I tell people is, okay, let's say you're getting nervous for a presentation, or you're going to be a guest on a podcast. Whatever it might be, you reminding yourself you're the expert. it's important to prepare, so you should have prepared.
Mm-hmm.
And all that self-doubt is, ask yourself, what question am I asking myself right now? Am I worried that I'm going to make a mistake? Am I worried, oh my goodness, maybe I'm not good enough, or they won't like me? Those are not supportive questions, and that's not a supportive path.
I like that you said they'll be prepared. If you're going to show up in the room and not be prepared and try and wing it, eventually that does not work. You know, my mantra last year was to be early, and generally I'm early. Mm-hmm. And it works, because then you know what happens for me. A lot of the anxiety is taken off the table. I'm not worried. I don't have to worry about getting myself ready, because I'm there and I'm ready. So that's just even showing up early, don't you think?
Yes. And then you have time to review your notes. Or
that's right.
Let's say you're going into a business meeting. Again, not winging it, being prepared, but also being strategic. What is the main goal of this meeting? What are the points that I really want to hit home? And then at the end of the day, what is my call to action, or what is my ask? What should I be asking for?
You know, and this might seem like stuff that everybody talks about every year. It's like, be prepared, be on time, don't go to the refrigerator. But what you're trying to tell some people subtly is just kind of take baby steps. You know, we all sort of want the same thing. Don't be so hard on ourselves, right?
Exactly. Don't be so hard on yourselves, especially kind of going into this year at the end of 2018. A lot of people feel burnout by the end of the year. It's the holiday season. Everybody's exhausted. You want to take in that good energy and the good plan into 2019 so you're fresh and you're in a great and supportive state of mind. Because our inner dialogue is so important to how we're feeling, how we're performing, and how we're projecting.
Yeah. Tell me some of the like hot, you know, resolutions that are out there. I know that a lot of times people have the same ones, right?
They do, which is usually, you know, getting in shape and losing weight.
I mean, how many Weight Watchers, you know, it's the beginning of the year when Weight Watchers is out there with a new plan, right? It used to be the points, it used to be this, and all of them, you know, Nutrisystem or whatever they're called. So yeah, that's number 1, 2, and 3. Why do people have such a hard time with weight? Why is that so tough? You go up, you go down. I'm one of them. Why? Is that just everybody's go-to, you know, drug?
You know, I think it's challenging for a lot of us, like me included. I took all the baby weight off, and then Serial Snacker stepped in, and I just started grazing. So I set the resolution. I took a look at what are my stumbling blocks, and that is the pantry and the food in my own home. So I got rid of the junk, and then I put calendar reminders in for myself. So I'm reminded that I am on this journey for the entire year, and if not my whole life, because I took the few extra pounds off. I started my resolutions early so I could talk about the success that I had. And I started in December. I got a couple of extra pounds off. The stomach is not rolling over the pants anymore. It was bothering me. It was really bothering me. And I have reminders in my calendar that pop up every day.
Yeah, and that is something you have to do, because I don't think you can do it on your own without the reminder, without the picture, because I've tried to do various things on my own and it doesn't work. So it's discipline. It's the discipline.
It's a discipline, and it's actual work. Anytime you are setting a goal, or you're reaching for a goal, or you're trying to achieve something, you have to put the work into it. End of statement.
So you speak to what kinds of groups out there and to help motivate people?
Well, it depends. You know, I have clients right across kind of the gamut, or right across all industries. So it's, at the end of the day, it's people wanting to feel more confident, speak with confidence, have an easier life. And that doesn't mean being lazy, but that just means things are easier. It doesn't have to be hard all the time.
Go easy on yourself. And if you don't achieve that goal that you set for yourself, it's okay. There's time. Let's try again, right?
Exactly.
Well, you started as a TV reporter, right? Yeah. Which is what we have in common, because you also worked in New York. You worked for Reuters, which is pretty massive. And I know about you that you're the kind of reporter that you put people at ease. So they sit with you and they're nervous. They're like, oh, God. And from there, right, it evolved into helping people and speaking because you felt like you could help people with their goals, right?
Yes.
Reporting's a real great, you know, beginning for something like that, wouldn't you say?
It is, because as a reporter and journalist, you're always listening. It's like you're listening first. And that's what I tell my clients. You know, if they're at a meeting, or they're even having issues within their own family or personal life, listen, really listen first before you start speaking.
I think a lot of people speak, myself included, because we're nervous. So they'll walk into a meeting and they'll do this. And you just said the right thing. No, listen first, right?
Yes, listen first so you can give people what they want and in turn then get what you want.
So when would be the right time to speak if you're in a meeting? And there's so many new businesses popping up in media. There's more, and there's also a lot more transparency too. There's not the big divider any longer, which I think is great. But when is it appropriate to finally speak out? Does that make sense?
Oh, I highly encourage people to use their voice, okay? Because that was an issue of mine so many years ago when I was afraid to speak up. And that's what journalism really did for me, was help give me a voice. And that's what I also loved teaching people. But you want to be strategic. There's a time and a place. So you just don't want to blurt things out. You want to see what's going on in the mix. And then at certain times, plan ahead of time what you might say, so you do come across as smart and you do come across as a leader, but definitely still use your voice.
What are some of the stories that have had a real impression on you and have stayed with you through the years?
I used to work in the Bronx as a reporter, and
I love the Bronx.
Yeah, Bronx Net.
The Bronx.
Yeah, and we were in South Bronx, and it's obviously a little bit of a struggling area. Some people, not the entire area, but some pockets, and it's definitely low income areas. And there was a teacher from Ireland that came and was a school teacher there, and she taught the kids Irish dance, even though the kids were not necessarily Irish. And to watch these kids light up, and practice another dance in another culture. And they made all their own costumes, and we learned about how they flew to Ireland and performed and did so well and were so proud of themselves.
Oh, that's cool.
Yeah. And thinking about all the, politicians or billionaire investors, that is the story. I get goosebumps because I'll never forget, not necessarily what they said, but how it made me feel. And that's what I tell people when I'm coaching them or I'm teaching them or talking to them. It's not necessarily always what you say and the facts that you give. It's the way you make people feel. It's these personal stories that you can share and incorporate into your meeting or your presentation. And that's what people will remember, how you made them feel.
So from that, then you evolved into what you do, a career strategist.
Yes.
So I come to you. Do you also work with people mid-career? Because that's really a big one. And I think a lot of women are mid-career, especially people, let's say over 40, who were told, a lot of us, we sort of stopped, to raise our kids. I try and encourage young people now, try not to do that. You don't have to work full time, but try to stay in the game as best you can, because getting in is hard. So what do you advise people who are trying to get back in the game, who've been out?
Okay. First and foremost, you want to get on LinkedIn. You want to update that LinkedIn profile, okay? And people say, well, I haven't really done anything in a while. Let's think about the volunteer you've done. Let's think about maybe some consulting work you've done. Let's really get strategic and think about what else we can put on
including if it's work that you've done at school. I think that's valuable. I know when I work with my podcasts and I have various businesses that I do as a subset, I try very hard to hire women, and especially women with some experience, because I think they may not be the ones that a lot of employers are looking for. And I think we've got a lot of value. So I think a lot of times they feel they don't have as much confidence.
That's exactly, and it's normal when you're not doing something regularly, you're not exercising and building that muscle. But that doesn't mean that you don't have the goods, and that doesn't mean that you're not qualified and you can't do it. So what I tell people is, in addition to LinkedIn, you really want to start getting really clear on what is it that you want. What is it that you want to do? And then from there, you want to start networking and asking people. You want to ask everybody. Once your message is clear and you want to go back to the old job, or you want to do something new. Maybe you want to do interior design, or you want to be a web designer. Whatever that is, once you get clarity, then people can help you. They cannot help you if you're not clear in your ask. And ask people for what you want, because you don't get what you don't ask for.
That's a big one too, because I think a lot of women won't ask. They're afraid to ask. And I think younger girls are a lot different, because I work with them and for them. I don't know, maybe I'm wrong. Kayla, you would have to tell me this. But I think younger girls are, and by younger, I'm talking like in their 20s, early 20s. are quick to do that. But
it's a new generation.
Yeah, and I know even when I started this podcast, because I went out and I could have gotten work at the local TV stations, and I thought, do I really want to do a live shot at 10 or 11 o'clock with, I don't know, a shooting somewhere? And I thought, no, let me interview people of interest like yourself. And it took a lot of guts for me to come out and do that. So it takes a lot of guts, and you just, even if people say you can't do it, just do it.
I agree.
You know?
Yeah, that was like me in New York. They said I'd never start my career, my on-air career in New York City, #1 news market. It's too hard. You have to go somewhere else.
Right, and they told you to go to Timbuktu.
They did. And
I
you know
went
what?
to Timbuktu. Okay. I know what that's like.
But that wasn't an option for me. I had to be in New York. I had to live in New York.
Why?
Because that's where my family was. So, and that was just kind of the situation I was in. And I did it. And there was a lot of rejection. And with that rejection, when you're in your 20s, I personally did not know how to handle that rejection. So it kind of mounted, and it can hurt self-esteem. But now what I tell people, looking back and how it really helped, it really, honest to God, helped drive me. So when they'd say, no, you don't have the look or you don't have the experience, it was a lot, you don't have the experience.
I was always told I didn't have the look.
Yeah, me too, the look.
Give me a break.
What's
the look? I don't get that now. You know what I mean?
It's ridiculous. So, but what I say is let that be a driver. If there's a door that slams in your face, let that be a driver to push it back open and keep going.
Let's say people can't do that on their own. Can they call you? How will you guide them through that? How do you guide someone who needs career counseling?
Well, basically, we talk on the phone, and I'll set up a strategy for them. We go through our goals. Like, what is your vision for this year? What do you want your life to look like? If there were no obstacles, what would you want it to look like? And we take it from there.
Also, good networking. This morning, I was over at the SAM Initiative. It's a friend of mine that started an incredibly interesting and powerful foundation. And what they do is we look at different charities each year that pitch, and they're looking for money for their charities. And she founded this all her own, and she had more doors slammed in her face, but she wanted to do it. And just like you said, I mean, you're going to get doors. Just find one crack.
Yes, I like that.
And women, I feel like we're helping each other a lot.
I feel like they are too.
Yeah,
definitely.
So what's the big takeaway you want to say to people?
Well, whether you're thinking about New Year's resolutions or you're thinking about goals for this year, really visualize what you want. Then write it down. And then start to set your goals month by month so you accomplish what you want. We don't get to December 2019 and, oh, this didn't happen, or I didn't get to do this, or I'm so disappointed. You need to have a proper plan in place. And then you need a mini action plan for each goal. How am I going to do this? And then schedule it in the calendar, because we know what gets scheduled in the calendar is what gets done.
So the 1, 2, and 3s, just you've got to write it down, be scheduled. If that's hard for you, it's hard for me to do that.
Yeah.
Because sometimes my attention can go all over the place. And if I have a pen and paper and I force myself, we all have to force ourselves. For those people where it looks easy, usually it's not. Do you agree?
I agree. It's work.
Not.
You have to put the work into it.
Yeah, like we started with the music that we both love, J-Lo.
Yeah.
I love reading about J-Lo because she sure looks like she's got it all, but Alex and everybody. But that girl puts in 20 hours a day.
She does.
Including raising her kids, being having Alex as her sidekick, and working out. And I sometimes use somebody even like her and say, come on, yeah, she's talented, but she's from the Bronx, right?
Yeah.
And every day she wakes up and does something.
Exactly. And you can have different mentors. And I tell people that all the time. You don't have to know your mentor. I mean, you might have some personal mentors. And then you can think of J-Lo, like when I go to the gym and I'm in that dance cardio and I'm starting to get tired near the end of the class, I think, what would J-Lo do? Would she slow down? Oh, no.
Right. Let's get loud.
Yeah.
I swear to God, I would play her when I was doing the marathon a year ago. Wow. Because I was the same way, because I'm not a marathoner. I just decided to do these. Stupid.
Wow. Yeah.
But I would play her all the time. She would give me motivation. Yes. So I got you.
Yeah, you want to listen to people that give you motivation. You want to surround yourself by supportive people and kind of drop the people that are bringing you down. Because how can you be your best self? How can you accomplish what you need to accomplish if you don't feel supported? You need to be supported at work, and you need to be supported at home.
Yeah. Anything else you'd like to add? I've really enjoyed having you on. I think you're really smart. You're beautiful. You've been a reporter like me. You're from back east. We've got so much in common.
We do. We have a lot in
And now
common.
you're new here, right, in Los
Yes,
Angeles. How do you
yes.
like it?
Well, I consider myself bi-coastal because I go back and forth, but I do love Los Angeles. It's definitely a little bit more of a laid-back vibe. And when you lived right in the heart of Manhattan for 14 years,
I love Manhattan.
yeah,
Yeah.
it takes a little getting used to. But what I'm telling myself is just reminding myself of my own patience. Like in New York, everything happens so quickly. Results often happen very quickly as well. So now that I'm in LA, it's like reminding myself to be patient.
Yeah. So, that's what you have to work on,
Yes.
right? And for me, it's willpower.
Yeah.
And just have the willpower to also say no.
Yeah.
And to say no to the pantry late at night. So,
Yeah. Remember your why. For me, it was I don't want to have to wear the bigger clothes. I'm tired of my belly hanging over. I already lost the baby weight. I'm not doing this again.
Yeah.
That alone is such a driver for me.
yeah.
I put that hard work. I went to Weight Watchers. I loved Weight Watchers. I
Do
still
you
love it.
really?
Yeah.
Okay. I had a hard time there
Oh, I
because
loved
by
it.
the time it was noon, I was done with my points. And I'm like, so what? For the rest of the day, I'm down to cherry tomatoes. I found it so difficult. I had to do something else.
That's okay. And you know what? That's good that you know that.
They're great, though. Everybody else seems to like them. Please don't make me your guide. But
But just because it worked for me, it might not work for you. So then at that point, when something's not working for you, whether it be weight loss, whether it be career, whether it be a goal you've set, you want to change course.
Yeah.
What is good? Do not stay on the same path that's not working for you.
okay. Well, I'd love to do a show with you. That would be a lot of fun. We
That would
talked
be
about that. We
great,
got to really
yeah.
kick something like that off.
Yeah.
So that'll be one of my goals for 2019. See if we can get something going.
sure.
Thank you so much for being here. How can people find you for you to work with them? How
Yes.
can they do that?
Okay, my website is elizabethkoraca.com. That's
Spell that.
my last name, Elizabeth with a Z, and my last name is Koraca.
And we'll also push that on our social media too.
Thank
So we'll
you.
push it out everywhere. And do you blog? Are you writing about your adventures?
Yes, I have a blog on my website, and it's just kind of tips and tricks of what I've learned from so many years ago, just how to improve your life, how to feel better, how to stop the overwhelm, and just how to live an easier life. Yeah.
Thank you so much, Elizabeth. I really enjoyed having you on. Please look her up on her website. Take it a step at a time. She did it. I try to do it. We can all do it together. So thank you so much for being on. I really appreciate it. And thank you, everybody, for joining us at Deborah Kobylt Live. And we'll see you next time.